Good morning, guys. It is a beautiful April day. So yeah, this is year 3 that we're running this experiment. And what I've done about 3.5 weeks ago is I took our sweet 7-month-old compost, put it in a bucket, stuffed a Hilde II seedling in there. Then I took our, well, now it's 4 months old, but then it was just over 3 months old compost into a bucket, that bucket, and stuck a Hilde II. And then I put a Hilde out in our Nodig beds as well. So it's been just over 3 weeks, well, 3.5 weeks, almost 4 weeks now. And I just want to go over what has happened. Some pretty cool stuff has happened. So I'm really, really stoked. So let's head out in the garden and I'll show you guys what's going on. Okay, so before I get into this year's experiment, I need to go back and show you guys what got me absolutely hooked on gardening, aside from college. So yeah, 3 years ago, we started clearing out all the gardens here, and we just basically had a huge pile of stuff. So we just threw it all into a pile and started composting it. So I did everything wrong with the compost. It got too hot, too wet, too cold, just anaerobic. It did everything. But so what I did was, back then we didn't really have any compost, so we had got compost from a composting facility. We also had bag compost, and what I did was run a trial. Now, many of you probably seen this, but what you're looking at is on the left-hand side is the bag compost. On the top is our compost, and on the on the right-hand side is the compost facility's high-end compost. It was like $80 a yard or something like that. So that ran over about 30 days, and as you can see, the results were absolutely mind-blowing to me. That was my first experiment, first of many, I gotta say. So yeah, it totally hooked me. And then last year, I ran another experiment. This compost that I made was only 28 days old. I actually had forgotten that I had made 28-day compost, and I ran it against a different kind of bag compost. And the results were fairly predictable, I think, because I learned a little bit by then. And yeah, it was interesting to see the differences in them. Okay, first up, our 3-month-old compost. Mainly it was a lot of carbon, and then I added some seaweed, as most of you guys had seen. It cooked perfectly. We had really good temps going. But as you can see, there are some classic deficiencies here. One thing I would think would be, the main one would be nitrogen. I think because the compost hasn't finished breaking down yet, there's a lot of nitrogen that is still tied up in the compost. And it's really actually cool to see, because this is the first time that I've actually expected this to happen, and kind of understand what's going on. So yeah, super interesting. Okay, next up, this is our 7-month-old compost, 7-ish month old compost. And as you can see, much healthier. Really much darker green, much more growth, and yeah, it looks pretty awesome to me. So you can see there's more nitrogen available, and some of the other nutrients available too. Plus, the other thing too is I think the soil texture is actually more compact, and is actually a benefit to the roots. I think the 3-month-old compost there's just too much porosity in it, meaning that there's really no resistance to water, and the roots will just dive down. So it'll be interesting to see the differences. Okay, and option 3, sowing into our no-dig beds. We weren't able to do this last year because we had just created our beds. This is going into year 2 for these beds, but as you can see, it almost looks like a different plant. Absolutely phenomenal growth. And all we did was put a little bit of our compost around it, watered it in, got all that that sweetness in the compost down into that root zone, and yeah, you can see that the Hilda just took off. By far the best of the three. So for us, we plant everything in the ground, and the no-dig beds, it's just been phenomenal for us. You know, we haven't added any fertilizers, any other inputs other than the materials that we made ourselves. So yeah, year 3 has been a pretty awesome success. So the last thing I want to do though is I want to expose the roots and just see what's going on and see if it kind of meets my expectations. So we'll just do that really quick. Okay, super cool. Kind of what I expected actually. So you can see is the one on the far right there. Basically has the longest roots and kind of, I would say, the weakest root system. It looks like it's trying to dive down to try to find nutrients, really spending a lot of energy. The second one in the 7th-month-old compost, shorter roots, but much more densely packed, kind of near the surface. And then the no-dig one, it's basically uncomparable. Basically, it's just like a solid mat, like a little root ball of nothing but roots. And if you look where I dug it out, ripped the radishes. Oh well. I didn't obviously get all the roots. They're just going everywhere, and there's other living roots in there. So just by like stacking those functions with compost and the soil to grow in, you can just see the benefit to the plant. So I am so stoked about this experiment this year. Year 3 is really taught me a lot. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. Yeah, phenomenal. Year 3 has been a great experiment. Learned a ton, and I learned a ton from experimenting, but I've learned so much from your guys' comments and suggestions, and even some concerns. It's been just phenomenal. Please keep them coming. Yeah, no-dig has worked out great for us in our context. Definitely I like the way it works, but definitely not going to limit ourselves going forward. We are going to try many different methods of gardening, I hope, and yeah, continue to try to find what works best for us in our context. And no matter how you're gardening, you're doing it right. So yeah, let's go. Burger night. Gonna harvest some lettuce here, and then head back home. So you guys stay awesome, and thanks again. It's been awesome. So cheers. Thanks, Cody. Thanks, AJ. These are gonna be delicious.